What is up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to episode 5 of the Bling and Branding Podcast, where we come to be entertained, educated, and elevated. Today, I'll be sitting down with Michael Cassidy, the fittest man in tech that offers one-on-ones, teaches about micro workouts, and getting all-around sustainable results in your fitness journey. This conversation is a juicy one, where we will break down the secret sauce to a successful personal branding and business journey. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. See you on the flip side.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate being on here.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and talk with me about your amazing journey in fitness and tech. I'm so excited to dive right in.
It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
So, Michael, what really made you decide to embark on this journey of fitness within tech specifically? What was your inspiration? What was your goal? Let's hear your story.
Okay, it's a little bit of a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. So, I've always been interested in health and fitness throughout my whole life, but when I was younger, I didn't know anything about like eating right, exercising right, sleep, like anything like that. I just wanted to get stronger at the time. I'm not a big person, so I felt like I had to like get super strong to like make up for it or something. My mom is 4'11", so I'm like a giant person compared to her. I'm only like 5'9", but like I feel like a giant around her. Anyways, so I was in a lifting accident the summer going into my first year of college. I was trying to flip a 450-pound tractor tire, and I heard like 2 pops in my lower back, and that was kind of it for me. I went to the hospital, and I found out that I herniated 2 discs in my lower back, and I had a whole host of other issues. Like I had degenerative discs, foraminal narrowing. That's the space where your nerves go through in your spine. That area was narrowing, pinching on my nerves, so I had like sciatica and things like that. And so for the next number of years, I went from some physical therapy to different surgeons who all recommended that I get surgery, that, that was the only way I would get better. And I kind of I rejected that, I guess, and because I was too young, I thought I was too young. So I kind of embarked on this journey of self-experimentation and just figuring out what worked for me in terms of nutrition, how I exercised, how I slept. I mean, I went through like all this experimenting with like sleeping positions and things like that for my back. But slowly over time, also, I got some interesting procedures done, like platelet-rich plasma and prolotherapy, things like that. But the best things I did for myself were the little habits that I implemented each day. So slowly over time, I got better, and now I'm in the best shape I've been in. I have a family and 2 girls, and I still manage to stay in pretty good shape. So I've always wanted to get into the health and fitness industry, but I've always thought it was oversaturated. So I was just, I fixed myself, and I was like, oh, okay, like it'd be nice to help people, but I really don't think I can because like I don't have a voice, amidst like all these other people on YouTube and, wherever. So I kind of gave that up. I started working for my family business in the trade show industry. We set up different exhibits, usually here in Minneapolis, like the auto show, motorcycle show.
Oh, that's cool.
So I did that for a really long time, and then in 2020, the pandemic happened. The live events industry kind of got shut down, and I didn't know what was going to happen from there. So I decided that I had to pivot, and I decided to pivot into tech. And that was kind of funny or everyone kind of thought it was funny because I didn't know, I'm horrible with technology. in 2020, if you asked me, like, what is the cloud? Like, I wouldn't have known. I didn't know. But I was going to get into tech. So I went through this tech boot camp, and there, a lot of my colleagues and friends were complaining about things like, their lower back hurting from sitting too long, or they had started to gain weight because they were working remotely. Their wrists hurt from typing, their eyes hurt from staring at a screen. And I was like, I have the answers to this. And so then, there was one point where I was like, okay, I have this unique experience and this unique unfair advantage that will allow me to actually get into the health and fitness industry. So I had this interesting like tech angle that I was going to take. So that's when I started posting, and that's when I decided I was going to build a business around wellness and fitness. So yeah, that was kind of a long-winded story, but that's kind of why.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I have to stop you right there too, because for not knowing what the cloud was in 2020 to now being a thought leader in your industry and spreading so much knowledge about tech specifically, that is so crazy to me, and you really need to give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's one of those things. I've just been so busy that I haven't stopped and celebrated the small wins along the way. But it was, I didn't know what the cloud was. I didn't even know what AWS was. I was just like, I didn't know anything.
What is AWS? I don't know
Amazon Web Services. Yeah, if you're in tech, you know what it is. But it's been a long, interesting journey, and so here I am now on LinkedIn, and I'm trying to expand elsewhere shortly. But
with an amazing following, I might add, 14,000-ish followers. You weren't on social media previously to deciding to embark on this journey either, correct?
Right, yeah. I never used social media until 2022. That was when I discovered I didn't know what LinkedIn was. In 2022 I was taking my tech boot camp, and the founder, he introduced us to LinkedIn, and that's how we promoted our projects and were noticed by different companies to, in hopes of getting us into tech. And there, so I started connecting with some different DevOps engineers, software engineers, and people like that. And then I had a plan, once I knew I was going to go for the health and wellness thing, I just started posting about that, trying to build a reputation and an authority and all that good stuff.
So you basically healed yourself from a very serious injury, decided that you wanted to pivot into tech because essentially your job just evaporated when 2020 hit. You went into a tech boot camp and then learned what LinkedIn was and just started posting, and it's been maybe 2 years and you've got this massive following, and now you help so many people. Honestly, Michael, you have come such a long way that is so incredible. And I wanted to ask if you had looked into Dr. Joe Dispenza at all since we talked about it yesterday.
No, I haven't. I'm creating this app, this micro workout app. That's one of the things I'm maybe sort of known for on LinkedIn, because as a tech person, or as anyone who works on a computer, you get sucked into this deep work sometimes, or at least I do, and like hours and hours pass, and you look up and it's 3:30, and you're like, I haven't moved, and so I started talking about micro workouts on LinkedIn, which basically is just short bursts of movement during the day, just a few times here and there when you can throughout the day, and it has a big impact on your health. And so I've been talking about these things, and I've been developing an app, and the app is like almost finished. So I was talking with my developer, and he sent me like the newest version of the Android app, and I'm just like super excited about it. So I was kind of all into that yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to look up Joe Dispenza, but I'm still going to.
That is incredible. Yeah, the reason for everybody listening that I bring that up is because much like Michael, Dr. Joe Dispenza is a person that got into a near fatal accident where he was basically paralyzed, and this man essentially willed himself to be able to walk again. And he now has all of these programs where he basically teaches people how to heal their own bodies. People have had miraculous stories just like his, where they were in a massive car accident and then they were a quadriplegic and now they're walking today. Like, all sorts of crazy stories. And the fact, Michael, that you were able to heal your back with a serious injury and now be in the place that you are, creating this app, doing these micro exercises every day, being a thought leader in tech, like, I thought that was a really cool parallel, and I think you would get a lot out of his teachings.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this app for a second. Do you have a launch date yet?
I do not have a launch date yet. This is the first time I've built an app. I tried to do it myself at first with my new tech background, but there's so much that goes into it. I had to get some help, but it's been really fun. And yeah, so the app, the main feature of the app is it notifies you to get up and move. And so I've procured a specific program for anybody to do, whether you just want to use your body weight or whether you have resistance bands. Yeah, I don't want to get too much into the details and bore everyone, but and there's scientific evidence to back up micro workouts, and I'll just explain that super briefly. So
yes,
there's
please.
a study using the UK Biobank. There were 25,000, and what they found was that compared to people who are sedentary, people who accumulated 5 minutes total a day of these micro workouts, which are, it's getting up and doing 1 to 2 minutes of an intense burst of, so whether some of the examples they used were walking up and down the stairs, that's that can be a micro workout. So
anything that gets your blood pumping, right?
Yeah, and gets your heart rate elevated. So the people that did these, they reduced the risk of cancer mortality by 30%, cardiovascular disease mortality risk by 40%. Just really crazy numbers. And they repeated this with people who did exercise, and they had the same results. So even if you do exercise, you can get tremendous benefits by doing these micro workouts. So I really think they're for everyone. And
absolutely,
I think
there is such a common misconception, right, that you have to be at the gym for 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I love that you're really breaking that narrative and letting people understand that it's not a waste to spend 10 minutes or less of your day to move your body, because anything helps, right?
Right. And I feel there are so, especially in the tech world, I feel not a lot of people are as physically active as they know they should be, and some people are intimidated to start on their fitness journey because they see these influencers who are super jacked or whatever, and they're working out 2 hours a day. They have their personal chef, and they're taking ice baths at 4 a.m. or whatever, and that's just not, you don't have to do that. The barrier to entry for fitness is a lot lower than we've been led to believe. If you can get up from your desk and do these micro workouts a few times a day, you can start getting healthier just by doing that, and significantly healthier too.
No, I love that. I love that messaging so much. It's a lot like content creation and posting on LinkedIn, right? So many people are so intimidated to start posting and don't know where to start posting, and you're well, now I'm just too far gone, it's too saturated, whatever. They have all these thoughts of imposter syndrome, but really it's all about just starting and getting something out there, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. I love that segue into content creation, because it's so true. People are I don't know, people are afraid, or they think it's oversaturated or no one will hear them. But I think, the thing is, I've always thought if you can help one person, then it's worth it. If you can reach that one person that needs to hear your story or your message, then it's definitely worth sharing your story, I think. Yes, I could not agree more. So, Michael, how about you tell me a little bit about your offerings that you offer on LinkedIn? I know you have a one-on-one session available. I know you have corporate training, among a couple other things. How about you tell me kind of how you got to that situation, and how that journey has been for you?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of pivoting, if I'm being honest. I didn't know exactly how. I knew I was going to do this health and fitness thing, but I didn't know like what am I going to be able to offer that's going to be, because I feel like I like to be unique. I want to offer something unique that's actually going to help people, because I don't want to follow like the cookie cutter template of that these content creators say you have to do. So I went through this tech boot camp, and I thought maybe that template would work for health and fitness. So I started offering this like 8-week cohort, basically designed to bring a group of like-minded people through this program to get like healthier and more fit, and that worked fine.
And for people that don't know, can you explain what a cohort is?
Yeah, a cohort, sometimes I'm not even sure, but I think a cohort is just a group of people, like, kind of in a class or together, like, learning together. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
I feel like the word is thrown around quite a bit, so sometimes I get confused by it, but I think that's what it means.
You know, the first time I actually saw that word used was Darren McKee posted something about doing it, and I was like, what in the world is a cohort? And I tried to Google it, but only the true definition of cohort came up. So I was like, okay, I guess it's just what you just said. I just assumed that's what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, no, that's okay. In my tech boot camp, that's what they called it too, like a cohort.
Okay.
So I just kind of always just thought of it as a group of people studying the same thing together, basically.
Okay.
So I think yeah. So the cohort was good. It was fun. I helped some people. But I wanted to help more people without having to charge as much money, because eventually I want to I want to just do the health and fitness thing. I mean, unless I could probably I have to be careful what I'm saying. If I can keep working for my tech job and do my health and wellness thing, I'll definitely do that. But the dream, I guess, ideally in my head, I'm making $1 million a year, doing the health and wellness stuff,
Oh,
but that's kind of
absolutely. Who doesn't want to make $1 million doing their passion?
No, but I do love my tech company. They're really the best. I get that was the dream company I wanted to work with from the beginning. When I started the tech boot camp, I was like, I'm going to work for Pluralsight. And here I am a year later working for that company, teaching people about the cloud. I'm making content about different technologies, and getting a little off track here. But they have unlimited PTO. They support my health and wellness business. I've done LinkedIn Lives with them, and they have a huge following, nearly 200,000 followers on LinkedIn. They let me speak in front of their network. So I thought they're the best. So I'm going to stick with them as long as I can. But anyways, so the cohort, I wanted to do a community. So right now I started this community. Where we're doing different 30-day challenges. So the first challenge we did was a morning routine challenge, and in that challenge, there was an option for cold exposure, and I learned a lot more about cold exposure and things like that, but also just the importance of a morning routine, and people got really great results. People lost weight, they more energy, more focus during the day, and things like that. So then I wanted to keep it going. We did a sleep improvement challenge, and one person, she was sleeping 4.5 hours per night on average, and by the end of the challenge, she was sleeping 6 hours per night consistently on average. So I was really happy with those results, even though maybe she needs a tiny bit more sleep still. That, I feel that was a big increase.
Oh yeah, 2 hours is 2 hours for sure.
Yeah. So in January, now I'm offering a healthy eating habits challenge, and then in February it's going to be a libido and happiness challenge, and then March is going to be a strength challenge. So it's kind of varies in the outcomes we're looking for, but I found in doing these community challenges that people can get results. I can bring in a lot of people and offer it for less money than like a cohort or one-on-one.
Yeah.
And people are getting really great results, so I'm hoping I can just continue on with that. I really like that path. And then I'm developing this micro workout app and doing some one-on-one coaching as well.
That is really incredible. You have had some really great success, and I honestly think you provide so much value to the community, Michael. So if somebody were to do one of these challenges and love it and be like, hey, I want more from you, I need more coaching, and they decide they want to sign up for a one-on-one with you, can you kind of break down what a typical one-on-one looks like for you and what somebody could expect?
Yeah, so, right now I'm doing like a power hour. I'm offering like a power hour one-on-one and with like a week of support, or I normally, I may drop. I'm not sure, because I do like to kind of work with a client longer than that. Like I have a few clients that I work with for like 3 months at a time. Like currently one, I met him at the end of like his weight loss stage, so he wanted to get down to his ideal body weight. We implemented some things. He got there pretty quickly, and now we're transitioning out of that, and he wants to build muscle. So like I love like that stage, and I feel like that's an important stage that people sometimes mess up on. They people reach their ideal body weight, and then they just like go back to their normal way of eating, and then they end up gaining it all back plus more. So I think that's a super important time. I love the concept of reverse dieting, and so we're kind of implementing that, and that's been great. But yeah, so I see what your goals are. I think goals are important to have, but then more importantly, we get into the process of how you're going to reach those goals. Just the day-to-day small habit changes you can start making, and whatever works for you, like whether you have equipment to do workouts or not, like it's all very customized and personalized to what you want to do.
Absolutely. I think that is another really big point that I feel like a lot of people that are trying to get in shape and be healthier kind of miss, is that you can do whatever fits your lifestyle, and different types of bodies and different types of lifestyles react differently to different types of workouts, right? So like one person could be doing cardio day in and day out, and so could another person, and this person over here is ripped and tiny and in the best shape ever, and this person over here is like, why is nothing happening? So I think there should be a lot of emphasis too on the way that your body receives this exercise. But I think you do a really good job in kind of diversifying the different micro workouts that you offer, and like different tools that you can use as well.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Like we're all human and we all share like very similar genetic makeup, but like different things affect people like in just like very different ways. That's why with one-on-one sessions, obviously I can get in there and we can figure out exactly what's going to work for you. But even in the community, like I try to give as many options as possible. Like for January, for example, healthy eating challenge or whatever. Like if you're a vegan or if you're a carnivore or anything in between, like this is probably going to help you, and you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to sit here and argue about whether like eating meat is good, better, or worse for you or whatever, because there are all kinds of studies that show like whatever they want to tell you. So you kind of have to figure out what works for you. There are some like general principles like that are pretty universal in my opinion, like avoiding ultra processed foods, avoiding candy and things like that. And a recent study has shown that if your diet consists of 20% or more of ultra processed foods, that's going to have a significant impact on your brain. It's going to cause cognitive decline. So I think we can say like it's best to avoid those foods most of the time. And I'm not like I don't want to make people follow like a super strict diet that they're going to fall off the wagon eventually from. Like, I want people to have their treats if that's what they want to do, because I think that's important for compliance. I feel like compliance is one of the most important things.
Yeah, absolutely. You made a post around Halloween that I think was super effective, with Halloween candy versus blueberries.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like a hack that I use sometimes. So I put like a quart of, I take a frozen blueberries and fill a quart size container with them, and I wanted to compare that to a quart bowl of candy, and the numbers are just crazy. Like the quart size bowl of candy, it's 2,000 calories or something like that, like 400 grams of sugar, and this is like with the wrappers on, so it's like it's definitely like underestimate. And then the blueberries, it's like 400 calories out, 40 grams, 300 calories, 40 grams of sugar, like not bad, but it's and that's a lot of, that's gonna fill you up. I mean, I can't eat I'll definitely get sick of it before I finish a quart of blueberries.
Yeah.
But you get that sweetness, and you get tons of nutrition, anthocyanins, vitamins, minerals. And then with the candy, you zero nutrition, basically, like garbage calories. It's going to ruin your body and your brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I grew up in the generation where we didn't have a whole lot of this nutritional fact yet. And then all of a sudden in my like late teenage years is when everybody was like, okay, we're not doing processed foods anymore. Soda's really bad for you. Like, it was a thing. But, in elementary school, lunches were like all processed foods, right? It was Cheez-Its, it was Uncrustables, it was animal crackers, it was like fruit roll-ups,
Hot Pockets, yeah.
Hot Pockets, like,
yeah.
It was so bad. And I don't know if I just have a really, really great metabolism. I've always been a very skinny, small, fit child and, like, adult my whole life. But I remember getting to college and having a complete overhaul of my diet because I went to a very hippie school, and pretty much all of the food on campus, besides at what we called the chubbard, actually called the cupboard, but we called it the chubbard. Yeah. Everything was like natural and real foods, and I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. And I completely changed my diet, and I remember feeling so much better after doing that. I cut out soda. I stopped eating ultra processed foods. I was eating like at that point I think I was a pescatarian for like 8 years, so I was like actually getting good proteins from other things that were like not ultra processed. It was good. It was a good shift, and I can really honestly say that cutting out processed foods makes a massive difference in just the way that you feel.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely feel the difference too, especially as I get older. I can just like, I feel like I'm more in tune with my body, or maybe I'm just getting older, but I'd like to think I'm more in tune with my body, so I can tell when different things like affect me, and how different things affect me. But yeah, when I was growing up, I feel like it may have been like one of the worst times to grow up in terms of nutrition. Like, I think I got like formula when I was a baby. I think there's kind of controversy around that, but anyways, like, I think I had like soy formula as a baby, and like I ate like McDonald's like all the time as a kid. Like, I like looking back, I'm like, how am I alive? But I mean, people are resilient, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Michael, how about you tell me also a little bit about where you get inspiration from your posts, because you're super consistent. Every single day I log on to LinkedIn, there you are with some sort of video or some really great tidbit on something. How do you come up with inspiration, and how do you stay so consistent with your posting?
So my biggest inspiration is definitely Tim Ferriss. So Tim Ferriss, he's the author of The 4-Hour Workweek. And then he kind of, making a product or a vehicle to only work 4 hours a week but make like tons of money or whatever. And then he transitioned into, he wrote a book called The 4-Hour Body, which was all these experiments he did and tested anything that has to do with like weight loss, fitness, gaining muscle, whatever, anything like that. and then he went on to write like The 4-Hour Chef and other books after that. But he's super smart, and he tries things himself. And I always have admired that. I mean, you can read a textbook, you can look at all the studies in the world, and I love doing that stuff. But like the most important thing for me is to test it out myself and see if it works.
Yes. Put it in practice, absolutely.
So I've always been about like self-experimentation, and things like that, and I like to share the results on LinkedIn just as part of what I do. So Tim Ferriss has been a huge inspiration. Also Wim Hof, the Iceman. He's the guy who kind of started the cold plunge movement. He can control his body temperature and his immune system. He's been in a scientific study where they injected him with endotoxin, and he was able to suppress it with his breath work. He's crazy, and he climbed Mount Everest like barefoot. He just has control over his mind. He's like Joe Dispenza. I kind of relate the two now that I'm thinking about it, because Wim Hof uses his mind just to do these crazy things. Like I don't know. Yeah. I would think I would die like outside if it was 40 degrees and I wasn't wearing a shirt or whatever. But like the human body is capable of it. We just have to believe we're capable of it. And he uses like different breath work techniques. And he offers this Wim Hof experience where you get to go to Poland. You can go to Poland and like climb mountains and jump into like ice baths with him, and that's definitely on my bucket list. It's kind of strange, but it's definitely something I want to do. And then now I'm thinking. Sorry if I get off track here, but like Tim Ferriss, he started to fund research for treatment of medication-resistant depression using psychedelics, and I feel, and I've heard like Huberman and some other people starting to talk about this, but I think this is like Tim's idea kind of, and so I just think it's super cool, because 10 years ago when you heard like psilocybin or psychedelics, you probably had some negative connotation with it, but I feel like he's kind of changing that, and so I don't know. He's just he's on the frontier of some of these things. He's steps ahead of everyone. So that's really what I like about Tim Ferriss, and that's where I find a lot of inspiration, and I kind of hope to be like that myself. I don't know.
Absolutely. No, I love following these types of people that just are otherworldly in terms of being able to control their reality. I don't think I'll ever be one of those people that can control my internal body temperature or, heal myself of a crazy accident in terms of like being paraplegic and then, walking again. But, reading into these people's experiences and like in putting their practices into practice and learning from them as best I can, like I'm a big believer in setting lofty goals, because you might not make it all the way to the top, but it's going to push you further than you would have if you made a realistic goal. And I think those types of people are just so inspirational and amazing, and are literally otherworldly. yeah, definitely. Well, and I feel like something in common with those people is they did set lofty goals. I mean, like Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to be like the best bodybuilder in the world, and he did it. And I feel like there's been a lot of talk about like detaching from your goals, and I think that's important. But I also think it's important to have a goal. So you're pointing yourself in the right direction, because you need that direction before you start. So you're not just spinning your wheels. I totally understand that. Right now, obviously, I'm in a big shift in terms of my career, and I think in the last week I have set myself onto 3 or 4 different pathways, but with the help of my amazing partner Eric, I think we're really onto something here, onto a really, really great idea, and I'm having a really hard time like focusing on organization and the goal at hand, but the vision is clear, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And listening to people like Joe Dispenza and all of these people, like the Diary of a CEO guy, and all of these people that were like, it started with an idea.
Yeah.
Is so fueling to that ultimate goal, and I'm so excited. And honestly, this conversation with you has got me so pumped because, you know, you came from being a person that knew nothing about the cloud. You came from being a person that was massively injured, not knowing what LinkedIn is, and now you have this incredible following of really highly engaged individuals. You have people that participate in your cohorts and your challenges. What would 2019 Michael think of 2023 Michael, and like, what advice would you give me as a person trying to embark on this unknown entrepreneurial journey that I'm about to embark on?
Yeah. So, yeah, when you bring up 2019, I hadn't thought of it that way before you asked, and that makes me kind of proud of myself, I guess, because if I were to talk to my 2019 self, he wouldn't even believe that this would have happened at all. Like, why am I in tech? Like, what is tech? Like, you were able to figure out how to get into the fitness industry? That's awesome. So yeah, I think that's reason to celebrate the small wins for sure. And then as for advice, I don't have a lot of advice, but like the one thing I would say is, we all have unique experiences, and my experience allowed me to kind of have a unique unfair advantage to get into this health and fitness space. So if you can find throughout your life some experience or something unique to you that gives you an unfair advantage over other people, like take that and use it. And then if you can combine that, you're passionate about, I think, that unique unfair advantage plus passion, like, equals like possible, huge success. And it'll definitely, I think it definitely brings you happiness too, because I'm passionate about health and fitness, and when I talk about it, it makes me happy. When I'm helping other people, it makes me so happy. And that's reflected in how I am around my family. So I'm so thankful that I get to do this. So I think if you can find those two things, like, you're well on your way.
I could not agree more. Yes, the intersection of passion and unfair unique advantage. That's the frickin' moneymaker right there.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And okay, so let me ask you this too. What advice would you give, the same advice to somebody that is intimidated to start their own personal brand on LinkedIn? Is that the same advice you would give that type of person in that situation?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say because of, like, your unique experiences, you might be able to help one person that hasn't thought of that perspective. Like, you have a very unique perspective. Like, if you can share that, and especially if it's something you're passionate about, and usually, the most, like, powerful, one of the most powerful things, I think, is turning pain into purpose.
Yes.
And so, I haven't had, like, horrible loss in my life, but, like, this back injury, this pain that I had, I've turned it into my purpose, and I think that makes it a powerful one. So if you're afraid to post, like, I don't know, you do have a unique perspective on the world, unlike anyone else, and you might be able to help someone, or, you might be able to start something, you might, and who knows, but, like, that's exactly it, who knows. You don't want to, like, look back and say, like, what if I had posted? Like, just post, so you don't have to say that.
I agree. Oh my gosh, Michael, this was such an amazing conversation. I'm not even mad anymore that I forgot to record your mic yesterday. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being flexible, and thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights. This was truly incredible.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast, and you've one of the big takeaways for me from this is, like, celebrate the small wins. You looking back, like, I've come a long way, and people tend to get so caught up in the everyday, the busyness of life, that they forget to do that. And I think that's an important thing.
I could not agree more. Well, this has been so amazing. Everybody, go ahead and follow Michael Cassidy on LinkedIn for all of his micro workout tips and tricks. Also look into his one-on-one training if you just have, some of those fitness goals that you've been trying to reach and seem to have issues with. Look out for that healthy challenge in January, February, and March. And look out for his app launch as well. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I'm still buzzing from that conversation. Wow, that was so good. If you guys liked that episode as much as I did, please subscribe, share it with your friends. Let's all share some laughs, lessons, and brand new perspectives together. I'll be releasing episodes every other Friday, Junior. That's Ricky speak for Thursday. Stay tuned. See you on the flip side.